Winter is over, and workers are busy in the Bordeaux vineyards. This is the time of bud break, an important stage for the vine. Wine growers remove the undesirable shoots so that the flower, and soon the seeds, develop as well as possible. From now on, whether powerful or not, all wine growers will be at the mercy of the same whims, those of the weather. But in 2013, spring has a few nasty surprises in store. Heavy rains batter the vineyard, spoiling the flower and endangering future harvests.
I'm a bit worried for this vintage, which is starting badly. We had a pretty cold spring, very cold in fact, such as I've rarely seen. It means the vine's not very pretty. It's a bit dull. A bunch like this is 90% lost. There'll be no grapes on it. We already know it'll be difficult to make a great vintage.
Is this a year when people will treat the vines a lot?
Yes, of course. People will be treating them a lot. Because you have to protect the vine, and it's easy to understand that all the fungus comes with humidity, and we're in a humid climate.
When the weather is inclement, growers have a ready-made excuse for the massive use of pesticides. For whether the year is good or bad, wine production is one of the greediest users of chemicals. Vines take up 3% of the farming area in France, but account for 20% of pesticide use. A record in France, which already occupies first place in the list of pesticide users in Europe. In the hushed world of great wines, chemicals are taboo. Only one estate owner agreed to address the issue openly with me. On these lands, Jean-Luc Tournevin produces Valandreau, a wine which ranks among the world's top 100. Out of the corner of his eye, he watches one of his employees who is about to treat his vines with a fungicide. Are these treatments inevitable?
For us, yes. With our methodology, we don't do organic or biodynamic. With our so-called traditional methods, it is necessary. The real question is knowing whether to do it now as a preventive measure or triple the treatment later on.
Not all growers are as scrupulous as Jean-Luc Tournevin. He has long been aware that handling chemicals presents real risks for his employees.
What I want is for my employees to work in as clean an environment as possible. And when they apply chemicals, we know they are dangerous. So we try not to have people entering the vineyard. We've been aware of this for a long time, and I talk about it regularly. It's our employees who get cancer and fall ill, and nobody talks about that. So I hope that my employees find it better working for me than for sloppy operators.
A scientist in Bordeaux offers to label growers' wines if they don't exceed a certain limit in pesticides. He regularly conducts surveys on hundreds of bottles. In his last such survey, 90% of the wines analyzed contained residues of pesticides, in some as many as 9 at one time.
Denial of a problem is no solution. I think that pesticides in general are a problem, so we might as well address it frankly before it becomes a problem.
What percentage of wine had no residue at all in your survey?
Less than 10%. One of the results of the survey carried out was that most of the wines analyzed, not all, but the majority, wouldn't have qualified for the Plus Nature label.
And that label isn't that strict. It tolerates 100 times more pesticide residue than is officially authorized in tap water. I tried to ascertain whether this massive pesticide use was widespread. To find out, I went to Burgundy, another great wine country. I have a date at dawn with a wine grower renowned for his coup de boule.
Tu mets 3 coups de pelle, puis après tu vas chez le kiné.
Spring is drawing to a close, and Dominique Derain is digging up a fertilizer that couldn't be more natural.
Here, smell this. It smells fabulous.
A fine smell.
That's good dung. We put cow dung in cow horns in autumn, and we put it in the ground for 6 months so that it ferments in the soil.
Some of them look funny.
So we smell them because with fermentation, it's rather like wine in barrels. Some do better than others. Here overall, it's terrific. It's a fine horn, a fine hummus, very fragrant. You can't smell the cow dung, and that's what interests us. Come on. Let's remove the dung from the horns.
In Volnay, we're a long way from the industrial methods of the Bordeaux wine growers. Dominique Derain has managed to convince his neighboring Grand Cru owners, like him, to convert to biodynamic methods.
It's nice and loud.
Here, chemicals are banned.
Now we'll start to stimulate Maria Thune's dung compost, microcompost. This was biodynamics. 25 years ago, there were 4 or 5 of us. Now we're more numerous. And natural wines or sulfur-free wines without additives were not very numerous for now, but this will catch on quickly. Young people are less fearful because we're governed by our fears, in fact. When we treat the vine, we're treating our stress, not the actual plants. You always have to monitor the product closely.
I questioned Dominique Derain on the evolution of production methods I saw at some of the Grand Cru. His views are critical, to say the least.
This taste standardization isn't sad. It's a social behavior pattern. Today you can go to a Hilton hotel in Paris, New York, or Tokyo, and it's the same. So we standardize the taste to calm and reassure. We open a bottle, the corks are plastic now, or perhaps glass because it's prettier, but there's no need for oxygen, because the wine is more alive. So it doesn't need the oxygen to live. We open it, as we could open 100 bottles and not have a problem. But we won't have the fun either.
In Burgundy, as in all the wine-producing regions of France, the weather in the spring of 2013 was disastrous. Dominique Derain works with his son. When they spread the mixture that's supposed to protect their vines, they don't have to worry about their health. All the products used are danger-free.
This year's crop has been complicated by the humidity and the rain. We could come back and plow, and each time it rains and creates humidity. So we have to wait until it dries.
Are you worried?
No. It's clean. It's been plowed enough. There's not too much grass. It's pretty. It's alive. It's good. Here we have soils side by side that have a totally different life energy. Weed killer. The 2 plots are different. You see the grass here, the living aspect of the soil that has been worked on, while here you have something that's dead. These young vines are deathly looking, and then there's foam. It's totally suffocated. We've lost our sense of the soil because we're not talking about something living. I think we'll take shelter. It'll only get worse.
To make his wine, Dominique Derain puts his trust in nature, in all circumstances.